manage the economy and turn it around? Well, to discuss this, we have with us this evening Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, former Governor of the Central and Uva provinces. Welcome, Maithri.
Thank you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you very much. I'm ready to answer those questions. The question you're now trying to ask me.
Well, Maithri, is it, what's the correct question here? Because 100 times a day I get asked this question by my colleagues in office, everyone from the office assistant to, you know, CEOs, ministers that I meet, they all ask this question: who do you think is going to win? And who I think will win should be of no interest to anyone. But in my mind, I need to make up my mind about whom to vote for.
Precisely.
And that's my decision. And I need to take that responsibility. I shouldn't be voting for someone just because the rest of my office is voting, or the rest of my family is voting, or the neighborhood is voting that way. We need to break this thinking.
Yes, I of course feel bulk of these people who are going to vote at this election are voting because of anger. They are trying to, this is the way I read it, they are angry with the UNP, they are angry with the SJB, they are angry with the port tour, and they feel that okay, NPP is the only party which can bring some kind of sanity, or they want to vote for the MPP to teach these guys a lesson. That may be the best way to put it. So then comes the next question, as to what you asked. The next question is, who is competent to run the country? Now that is $1 million question, Devesh. Now these people who are going to vote for the MPP due to anger, and you can't blame the people because all the main political parties have failed them. For the last 76 years, the main political parties have driven this country to bankruptcy, and today the innocent people are paying high prices, high taxes to fund the present system. So they are obviously angry. Now the question is, when you are angry, can you take a decision? When you are angry, would you take the right decision? Those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. So then we will have to, in the next 2 weeks or the next few days, everyone in this country will have to revisit their thought process and their analytical behavior as to how they should vote at the next election.
But Maithri, this shouldn't be about teaching those in power a lesson. Those people are never going to learn anyway. They'll just they'll go out of power, they'll bounce back in 5 years or whatever.
I don't agree. Now what their idea is, okay, they want to teach these guys who have run this country for the last 76 years a lesson, send them off home. Okay, so there is no great depth, there is no thinking which runs deep. It is just a spur of the moment type of thing, where they are saying no, this nonsense must come to an end. No, because may I be permitted to give an example?
Of course.
Now my chamber, as a practitioner.
As long as it's not libelous, but you being an eminent President's Council, I'll
so then
trust you on this.
I had a discussion with my colleagues. They're all young guys, and so just I had a casual chat, and then I said, what is your view on how are you all going to vote at the next election? So out of the 9 fellows, 7 guys said, sir, we are voting NPP. So then,
interesting.
Yeah. Now this is I'm telling you, this is I mean, this is how we also get to know as to how the people are behaving. So then I had a discussion, and I mean, one of my sons also was in that discussion, and he's trying to convince me at home also to vote for the NPP and support the NPP. No, I said, well, I understand that there is anger. I understand that everyone wants to teach a lesson, right? But what you have to know, what you have to ultimately ascertain is whether they will be able to run the affairs of Sri Lanka in a fit and proper manner, which I mean, I have my doubts. I hope they are wrong, but I have my doubts. So then, you know what the simple answer is? No, that is not a matter of us. We are not concerned about that. We want to teach these fellows a lesson. That is the long and short of this whole exercise, Dinesh.
Now, Maithri, as parents, as teachers, we are told, don't react out of anger.
Precisely.
Take a deep breath, count from 1 to 10 or 1 to 50 or whatever,
Correct.
and then calm yourself and take the rational decisions. So that clearly doesn't apply this time. But this is a national election. This is do or die for Sri Lanka, isn't it?
No, and not only for Sri Lanka. It is a do or die situation for each and every one of us, Niresh. Because I mean,
are we shying away from our personal responsibility?
I think.
Because this whole question,
no,
whom are you going to vote for?
No, correct. I feel, Niresh, all of us have misunderstood this election, and we are not voting with an analytical mind. So I of course feel people must very analytically examine this situation, and then they must cast their vote. But having said that, I mean, now I would say the present president, I mean, whatever said and done, he took up this challenge when everyone was, shying away. But having taken it, he has done a reasonably good job. But now last few months, what he did, the race is unacceptable. He was challenging the judiciary. Okay, then the IGP, appointment of the IGP, then the visa scam, and then the health minister scam. I mean, all these incidents where he could have easily got a hell of a lot of, popularity points if he acted in a proper manner. He has lost them. So I can't understand who is advising him. And at the brink of an election, I don't know why they have to take such foolish. I mean, you don't challenge the judiciary. Now, this is the same judiciary who got him back when President Sirasa removed him in 2019, if you remember.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is the same judiciary. Most of them are there. So that time, when the incumbent president removed Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as Prime Minister on a arbitrary decision, and brought in Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Prime Minister, within 52 days, the Supreme Court came with a decision and reinstalled Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as Prime Minister. So this is the very judiciary he is now trying to challenge, and he is trying to bring to Parliament. So, I mean, I can understand the rationale behind his behavior. So now, as a person who did a reasonably good job with regard to the economy, I'm wondering why this has happened. Why he had to do this? Either he's intoxicated with power, and he thinks that anything he does, people are going to accept. So these are the problems, Niresh. These are what the people see, and this is why they got angry. And Niresh, and what I'm saying is, Mr. Andro Kumar Disanayaka, Mr. Sajith Premadasa, I mean, when in 2022, when all this turbulence took place, we were all with our backs against the wall. Okay, so that's the time you need the best guys to come forward. The tough must get going. There is a saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So I would have appreciated it a hell of a lot if, we'll say, Mr. Annakumar Dissanayake at that time came and said, okay, country is in a bad situation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has taken the challenge. Okay, you give me a part of whatever you want done, we will do it. Then Mr. Sajith Premadasa could have come and done the same thing. Then thereafter, Niresh, they could have displayed their ability to the people. They could have displayed the ability to the people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But now today, it is easy, Niresh, for you and I to stay in the pavilion and tell how the cricket match should have been played. It's a very easy task. But when you have to go to the middle of that, the middle of the grounds and really face that bowling, it's a different ball game completely. So, I mean, I would say we all of us need to analyze this situation and not to vote with anger and various other things, because this is our country, and whatever said and done, we have opted not to leave this place. We have taken the choice of staying here. So let us all get together and make a good decision without getting angry. I mean, the irony is we have to choose from a bad lot. There is no the degree. Let's
get to that. But staying with the cricketing parlance, I would add to it by saying that the crowd doesn't know why they are cheering. They seem to be cheering against a team rather than for a team, and they don't seem to know which team to cheer for, and they're asking each other, "Whom are you cheering?"
That is what is happening in the election.
Yes,
in the election,
exactly.
as you said, Niresh, we are cheering. We don't know why we are cheering, and then we are asking whom should we cheer for. Right? So I don't think as voters we should be so helpless.
And we have only 17 days to go.
Precisely.
We've had 3 years, almost 3 years, to think about this. But
no, Niresh, I don't think we had 3 years to think about it. Well, we had maybe 1 year. We had 1 year to think about it, or maybe 2 years to think about it. And during that 2 years, who has acted responsibility maybe is the key issue. So every one of us will have to come to terms and analyze who is the most responsible out of the lot.
So is it who is the most responsible out of an irresponsible lot of leaders?
Yes.
Because we seem to be bouncing around.
No, we are that is the reason why we are bouncing around. Is everyone are equally bad. So we have to now, the problem is, out of these bad guys, how are we going to choose the best?
Well,
so
once again it comes down to who's going to run the country best.
Precisely.
Isn't it?
So whatever the shortcomings of the people, ultimately the question is going to be asked, who will run the country properly? So that is the $1 million question to which an answer needs to be given. And that answer, by the 20th, that will have to come upon our voter, and on the 21st, they will have to put it into action.
Well, I hope that on the 20th we don't keep getting this same question. Whom are you going to vote for? Yeah. Whom do you think will win?
No, so that is why, Niresh, I suppose programs like this will definitely take the message to so many people, and I mean, because I have met so many whom I don't know when I go for public gatherings and various places, and they always have said, we watch this program and we watch how well you all come and address these issues, and sometimes we have started thinking on those lines. So I think we are doing, although I mean we don't realize it, there is a huge populace we are influencing, and we are getting them to think, and they are in turn convincing other people. So I think your network is doing
we're doing a great public service.
I feel because the people they don't even know me. Sometimes they can say, you're so and so, we have watched you on such and such a program, and with Nilesh or with Shaukat, when Shaukat was here. So we are so happy because we have learned a lot. We have learned to think and work on those lines and things like that. Nilesh.
Now, Maithri, I'm one of those floating voters.
Oh, yes.
And I've voted for different parties, different leaders throughout my lifetime.
Nilesh, can I ask you a question? Whom are you going to vote for?
I'm still undecided. Now, here's my point. I'm undecided, but I will decide probably on the 20th of September, which is way too long. I should have decided.
I don't think.
I should have decided by now.
I don't think.
But here's my point. I'm not running around asking everyone else whom they are going to vote for. Now, Maithri, all the manifestos out.
Yeah.
And manifestos this time around should have been written in a way to convince the voters. But I've read all the manifestos. I'm more confused than ever.
Right. Now, for instance,
hundreds of pages. Hundreds of pages.
I have this SJB manifesto. This runs into 41 pages, and these are all nice stories to listen to. And these manifestos have seen the light of day before. And then there is the NPP manifesto, which I got a printout of this whole thing. This is running into something like 200 odd pages, 231 pages. So to read this itself, it will take. You'll have to go on.
It will take you till the 21st.
21st. So what I'm saying is now these manifestos have come before.
And some of them are harking back to older Mahinda Chintana
all
and
that,
so
all
on.
that. So what I'm saying is, sometimes are these worth the paper it is written on? And if they have such good ideas, why didn't they come forward to implement them in at least a restricted area during these turbulent times, and shown the people? That's the best way. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, Nilesh. If they came and said, okay, Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, give us the Minister of Agriculture, all ministries coming under that, we will show results. And if they showed results, Nilesh, I would have said that, well, that's a acid test. But I am not willing to take a judgment from spectators. When they could have played the game, they refrained from playing the game. They became spectators, and they are criticizing the guys who played the game. So that is the dilemma we are in, Nilesh.
So the political leaders are unconvincing. They've been playing politics for several years while the country was burning.
Precisely.
Isn't that the entire
Not only
problem?
politics, Nilesh, they have been robbing the country, they have been mismanaging the country. So it is not only politics. I mean, Sri Lanka is a classic case of mismanagement.
Oh, absolutely. There is this viral
mismanagement.
video going round about the Bandaranaike International Airport, which a foreign visitor has taken, where there's this massive queue just to get a visa to enter the country.
Yeah, precisely.
And they have had to wait 3 hours after a flight of perhaps 9 or 10 hours. And it's so ridiculous. But this kind of mismanagement
Absolutely.
is just ridiculous.
No, and who is accountable for this? Who is accountable for this? No one is accountable, Dinesh. So that is why I say Sri Lanka needs not a politician. We need a good administrator. This country needs basically a good administrator. So if we can get a good administrator in place, I think within 6 months we can put this whole thing right. But none of these people have shown that. But having said that, I must say that the NPP or the JVP, the combination, at least they have been able to collect their own funding, and they are the only political party today which is managing the election with their own funding. So at least there is some kind of proper management there, whereas the others have completely neglected even that.
But Maithri, running a political party is a simple matter when you think about running a country,
Well,
especially
definitely.
one where the bureaucracy has tied ourselves in knots. Now something like this BIA fiasco, surely the officials there could have sorted it out.
No. That is where, Niresh, you need political leadership. Because I must tell you, I mean, not that I'm trying to brag about myself, but as governor, when I was in the central province, I went and I spoke to these officials, and I told them that, I have come, I want to do some work, and I said I want them to help me, and I said I will back them up. I will back them up. Don't worry. As long as you take the right decision, in good faith, I'll back you up. So then after that, after the meeting, I invited them for some dinner, and then at the dinner, some of the guys came and spoke to me and said, "Sir, not that we can't work, but the problem is no one backs us up. Not that we easily make mistakes either, but the moment there is some kind of a problem, what happens is the politician hounds us out." So our theory, or the government sector theory, is no work, no problem. No work, no problem. More work, more problem.
So they are afraid to take decisions.
Afraid to take decisions. Why? Because their leaders, their top, their bosses don't back them up. Now, Niresh, that can happen to you. You are working for a media network. There are bosses. I mean, you are working independently, I suppose, because even if you will say sometimes make a mistake, that making a mistake is human nature, right? So even if you make a mistake and you go and tell your boss, I made a small mistake, I mean, they say, no, we are backing you, because you are made it in good faith. You are not made it in bad faith. You are not made it for consideration. It's a genuine mistake you have made. So even that type of thing, Niresh, the public sector, they don't back them. And I told them, as long as the mistake is in good faith, right, I will be 100% with you. I will back you to the hilt. Niresh, they started working. They opened all doors. They started working as if they have never done before. So the Maithri Gunaratne, who went into the office thinking that the government servant is useless, ultimately when I came out, I realized that these guys have so much of knowledge, so much of ability, we are just not getting the best out of them.
Well, that's absolutely true, because some of these bureaucrats, as we call them, spend 20, 30 years in...
Look at the experience, Niresh. Look at the experience. Now, for instance, for a guy to come as secretary to a ministry from the position of AGA, he is thrown to all departments, all areas of the state. He is given foreign education, foreign training, all that. The state spends so much. When have we made use of their knowledge? When have we made use of their experience? We have not. I don't think 1% of the experience we have made use of. That is why we are in this position, Niresh.
But Maithri, all the political leaders, they tell us that they will retrain these people.
No, that will never happen.
But it never
happen. That will never happen.
Yeah.
No, because point is this, Niresh. They don't like their subordinates or their colleagues talking against them or telling something which is counter to whatever they say. That is the problem. That is the problem. Now, if I make a decision, and I have always had that policy, if it is wrong, you tell me it's wrong. I am willing to correct myself. Tell me where. So, if I say no, my decision has been made, now you better carry it out, then of course bad luck.
But that's the political culture.
That's the political culture. So that culture, if we change, or if there are people who can come and say that, okay, we'll take a decision, we'll discuss it. Let us do a brainstorming, And then once we do a brainstorming, we make it, we seal the decision, and then it's implemented. I can't see how it can go wrong. I can't see how it can go wrong. It has never gone wrong with me. We have discussed, and having done that, I had the secretary to the governor. Having done that, I used to tell the secretary, Lekantuma, if there is any problem, tell me. We will rethink it, and we will make the correct decision, because all these decisions, Nilesh, are being made on behalf of and for the betterment of the people. So we must make the best decision. So that's the key thing.
We are in conversation with Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council. We'll take a short commercial break right now, and we'll be right back.
But I like her features. She is hot.
අධ්‍යක්ෂකවරයෙක් ඉවත් කරන්නේ ප්‍රවීන්ගෙන් රජකට ඩෝස් පුරයක් නැත්නම් බලපෑම.
What is this, Praveen? මම කොහොමද අපච්චිට වට උත්තර දෙන්නේ?
කිසිම මාධ්‍ය ආයතනයක තමන්ගේ ඇජෙන්ඩා එකට විරුද්ධව යන උන්ගේ ලස්සන ෆොටෝ දාන්නේ නැහැ.
මේ මැස්සා අද රාත්‍රී 9ට සිරස ටීවී තුලින්.
Step away from the conventional art of storytelling. Get ready for the Newsfirst Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfikar Farzan.
In revelry of art and design, Artra magazine launches Ismet Rahim edition from 6th to 8th of September at Artra's Art Experimental Festival. For tickets of art talks, tours and exhibits, call 077-570-1891. Media sponsor, TV1 Sirasa TV.
The Colombo Wind Orchestra proudly presents Movie Extravaganza, conducted by Keiko Kobayashi, from Klaus Badelt's thrilling Pirates of the Caribbean theme, 7 September 7 p.m. onwards at the Bishop's College Auditorium. Tickets available now. Electronic media sponsors, Yes 101, Legends 966, Newsfirst and TV1.
And we are back on Face to Face. My guest this evening is Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, and we are discussing the unusual topic of whether Sri Lankans are capable of taking the proper decisions, or are they going to continue acting irresponsibly. Now, Maithri, this is the crux of the matter, isn't it?
Precisely.
For example, okay, we'll get to that visa matter again, but look at the central bank staff, look at the finance ministry staff. They watched day by day as our foreign reserves dwindled, and this happened over several years.
Correct.
And then finally went down to virtually zero. We couldn't buy a shipload of gas.
Yes. Yeah.
Ships were showing up outside Colombo filled with petrol, crude oil, diesel, whatever, and turning around. I heard the figure of 22 ships had come to Colombo, turned around and left because we couldn't afford to pay. And meanwhile, people were literally dropping dead in the queues.
Correct.
And all this because no one at the central bank, at the finance ministry, in the president's office, wherever, no one stood up and said, this is wrong, this is going to happen, go to the IMF, do whatever, and make sure that this calamity does not befall us. It was like a cyclone which we could see coming. Now, how do we... This is the system change that's needed, isn't it?
Precisely.
It's not about throwing some politicians out and then 5 years later they'll come back in, or their brothers and sons will come back in. It's about empowering our bureaucrats, isn't it?
No, and what you are saying is correct, Niresh. Now, the right thing to have done, they should have done was when this was falling from bad to worse, the central bank should have notified the minister, or they had to have some kind of method of notifying Parliament, because Parliament is ultimately responsible for the finances of this country. And I don't think anyone could see any kind of red light being lit at a time like that, where the parliamentarians knew that this was going down, because I suppose at that time, most of the times, I mean the last so many years, it was the Rajapaksas who were running the Ministry of Finance, and in 2015 to 2019 it was the Yahapalne government, and I think they did quite a good job. I think Mr. Mangala Samaravira was a finance minister, and he was able to take the bull by the horns. But then there again, 2019, the Rajapaksas came in, and once they come in, Niresh, there is no discretion, there is no own thinking for a government servant. Either you do or you get out. So that's how they function, and that is the reason we have been pushed in this manner. So the government servant is not to be a carpet. Our problem is we have now made them, they have become carpets, where politicians come and clean their feet. So if they also don't do their job, if they don't stand up and say, no, this is wrong, we are not going to carry this out, then this is going to change. Now, I think in India, the politician does not get his own way. It is actually in India, it's the bureaucrats who run the country. Politicians come and go. And that is why India has been so successful in the last 20 years. Of course, President Modi, Prime Minister Modi has contributed to that. But basically, the Indian bureaucrat has been very patriotic towards India, and they have been able to. They are the ones who are keeping the flag flying. And Modi, Prime Minister Modi, came and gave some kind of strength to them, and that resulted in India going from what they were to becoming a world superpower. Economically, I think in another maybe 2-3 years, they will be third or fourth largest economy in the world. So that is very creditable and commendable. And I feel more than the politician, it is the Indian bureaucracy and the right leadership India got to get into this status, Niresh.
But now, Maithri, you mentioned that the bureaucrats should sound the warnings and notify. But it's not just about sending an email or a note and that you've sent it and you wash your hands. It's up to the other person to take the action. This is like the lookouts on the Titanic. They see the iceberg. Is it enough to just send a message? Shouldn't the entire apparatus work? And the ship needs to be saved. And here the ship is Sri Lanka and our 22 million population. So this individual and collective responsibility on the part of not just the government servants, but all Sri Lankans.
All Sri Lankans. So for that matter, Niresh, I mean, you're putting it in a very broad sense. For that matter, now the 21st of this month, each and every one of us are playing a major role, because it is our decision on that day that is going to empower the politician and the bureaucrat to run this country for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. And that's what happened.
So although we are not involved in running it for 5 years, we take that decision on the 21st. So when we take that decision on the 21st, we need to be very, very good or very, very analytical when we are going to take that decision. Now, for instance, Niresh, now we'll say, I mean, you are going to hire a driver to drive your car. Your car is worth maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 million rupees. Do you take a guy just from the street and give him, okay, drive my car? Does it happen that way? No. But you will see how old his license is. You will try to find out whether this fellow takes alcohol. You will see whether he has been driving this type of vehicle. Now, what I am saying is, Niresh, when it comes to our personal life and we have to make a choice to run our car or drive our car, we take so many precautions to see how to choose the correct person. Right. But now when it comes to the country, the question you said, who is going to win?
We're back to the cricket match or the rugger match.
Right. Who is going to win? Right. So why are we like this? Why are we like this? So we must change. We must change. And we must be like when you are going to recruit someone to drive your car, we must be as analytical, as careful as that when it comes to running of our country for the next 5 years.
Is there a lack of patriotism?
Well, Niresh,
this is the elephant in the room. This is the elephant in the room.
Niresh, all of them, if I say no patriotism, I think they'll call me a traitor. But all of them claim to be patriots. So I don't want to hurt the feelings of our people. So what I'm saying is, at least this election and future elections, we need to very, very carefully scrutinize the guys whom we are going to vote for. Otherwise, I mean, there is no way we can change this. It's simple as that.
But aren't we in a very similar situation to the one we were in during the last presidential election? During that campaign, you will recall, Maithri, it was after the Easter bombings, and people were angry.
Yeah,
they were angry, and they wanted the government out of power.
The 2019, where President Gotabaya Rajapaksa contested after the Easter debacle. Now, even that, Niresh, is a complete, in a sense, system failure of the intelligence services and the police department. No? Now, this information came 3 weeks before the Easter. It came somewhere on about the 1st or 2nd of April. They were dilly-dallying with this information, saying that they had to find it whether it is authentic or not. And then it went from one to the other. Then it went to the Defense Secretary. He passed it out to the IG. IG thought, I mean, he's going to just keep it, and they never took any action. They never took any action. So that was the lackluster manner in which they worked. That was the lackluster manner in which they worked. So therefore, we must not see that a situation like that comes up again. Now, after that, that is not the first time. The second time was during the Aragalaya. During the Aragalaya, the IGP at that time, Mr. Chandana Vikramaratne, had very clearly told Deshabandhu Tennakon, who was the DIG, senior DIG Colombo, on the 9th that they are going to come and attack this Gotagogama people and Mainagogama people. It was given to him on the 8th in writing. In writing. But what did he do? He took instructions from someone else who is commanding chief, and he let those people come and start attacking these two places, Gotagogama and Mainagogama. And what did it result in? It resulted in 140 houses being burnt all over the country. Look at the public damage. Who had to pay for them ultimately? They went and burnt it. Government officials did not carry out their duties properly. Ultimately, you and I, we are the suckers. We had to pay by our taxes. We had to buy them new houses. We had to buy them new furniture. That was taken away. So this is the price, Niresh. When you don't choose the correct people to run this country, ultimately you and I have to pay.
But again, the choice is unclear, because the messages that have been coming out, If people are going to vote through anger and not because they actually believe that a particular leader is the person who should take this forward, then it's the wrong process, isn't it? It's the wrong thought process.
Definitely, definitely, Dinesh. No, so if it is going to be anger, if anger is going to be the driving force, we are in a serious situation.
Don't forget, Maithri, that 6.9 million people voted for the last president. That's an enormous number of people.
No, correct.
So if we have this time 6.9, 7.5 million.
Niresh,
Again,
let me intervene at that point. Now, when they voted for Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa in 2019, they thought that he was they saw him as the defense secretary. What he did, okay, he was, I would say, instrumental in getting all forces of winning the war. 1. 2, as the secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development, the beautification of Colombo, he was responsible. Then the housing complexes which came up for the shanty-dwellers in Colombo, he was responsible. So therefore, he was a person who had done a hell of a lot of progressive work in Sri Lanka. And you would know, when they were trying to build this apartment type of housing for low-income people, there was so much of objection from political parties and politicians. Notwithstanding that, he went, and those people are really doing very extremely well. So it was basically people chose him. 6.9 million people voted for him because they thought he will make this change which every one of us, every one of us are wanting to see. He will take this to this dreamland. But after he was elected, Niresh, he completely lost his marbles. He completely lost his marbles. He was doing the most ridiculous things, right? Which with no knowledge, with no expertise, with no proper advice. And I think the last straw which broke the camel's back was the fertilizer, the ban.
The ban on chemical
fertilizer. I mean, all that is good, but you don't do it overnight. You now, for instance, Niresh, now Mrs. Bandaranayaka's policy in 70 to 77 of doing the industries here and developing our industrial sector, it was a very good thing she did. But there again, it came as a overnight they started doing it. So then what happens is you can't match the situation, the needs of the people and the needs of the country. It's a bit difficult. That's why they got unpopular. But otherwise, if it had been done in a systematic manner, we'll say within 10 years, 20 years, 15, 20 years, we are going to start producing most of the stuff. We are going to do it in Sri Lanka. Good things. But you give a time period and you phase it out. If you want to stop something, you have to give a time period to phase it out. So if he said, no, we are going to go in for organic fertilizer, first year 10%, second year 20%, third year 30%. If he had made some kind of program like that, it would have been a success. But you don't come up one day and say that, no, we are going to ban it today. Now, for instance, Niresh, tomorrow if there is a president and he says, we are going to ban all Western medicine, we are going to live on Ayurveda, can it hold any ground?
Absolutely not.
Right.
So it's putting the cart before the horse.
Absolutely. So you can't in a country, you can't take such drastic decisions. The decisions have to be well calculated, well thought of, and you have to tell the people, educate the people, and slowly it has to you have to introduce it to them.
Now, drastic decisions, that's another point, Maithri.
Yeah.
Governments are supposed to ensure that the population, that the economy, the entire country does not have to undergo such shocks, because the more the decision is going to shock and shake the economy and the people, the less stable your country becomes.
Definitely.
And resulting in all of the problems that we have been undergoing over the last 2 years. So, of course, sometimes you need to take firm decisions, but not these overnight shocking decisions.
No way, no way.
And you also need to, when you are taking the decisions, you need to evaluate the consequences of these decisions.
Definitely.
For example, we all knew that we have to pay higher taxes once the country went bankrupt. This was a given.
Yeah.
We were going to be left holding the can right there.
Definitely.
But the manner in which it was done has driven millions of people below the poverty line.
Correct.
So that aspect has not been looked at or taken care of. So it became a shock in the near term and the long term. So are we now heading for more shocks? Because
no, we will head for more shocks if we do not rectify our mistakes in appointing the correct person. If again we are going to vote on anger, then we are repeating the mistake, no, Niresh? So that's why I said 21st of September, the citizen of Sri Lanka who are sovereign are going to get a chance to display their likes or dislikes as to who should run the country. So it is on the 21st of September that they have to come to the right decision. If you take the wrong decision, remember that you are inviting upon yourself for more taxes, more unrest and more problems.
Now, Maithri, let's evaluate this past the 21st and the 22nd. On the 22nd, many of the population will be jubilant, others will be despairing, and still more will be wondering what's in store. But what will happen? Let's just assume now all the major candidates are saying they are going to dissolve Parliament almost immediately. I think the NPP yesterday said that on the 22nd itself they are going to dissolve Parliament, and we will have fresh elections. But there's a strong likelihood. Well, what's going to happen?
No, Niresh, they can dissolve Parliament, but there will be the cabinet will still function. The present cabinet of ministers will still function. So for the next maybe 60 days thereafter, again we are going to into a situation where there is going to be uncertainty. So can we go in for another election, and all those are things which we'll have to see after that. But I would say that, I mean, the NPP, I mean, if the NPP wins and Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake becomes the president, well, these ministers, I mean, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he came from nowhere and he worked with a team of people. And even Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake, he can invite the best in Parliament. I mean, although they say all 225 must go, I say there are still 25 people who are competent and capable people who are not dishonest. So I mean, well, if the NPP is talking of a situation where they are going to be all fair, they are going to be very good, they are going to be, you know, if they are going to practice what they preach, then they can call upon some 10 or 15 good people and say, okay, this is a caretaker cabinet we are going to appoint, and let us run the country for this time. So they can demonstrate their capability then. And even if Mr. Sajith Premadasa comes, I mean, I of course feel if they come and if they dissolve, you are putting the country again into an unstable situation.
Exactly. This is what I want to discuss.
So the Parliament's life is there till I think next year, 2025, maybe March or I'm not exactly, I can't remember that, but it's still there. So what leader or the president on the 22nd of this month, whoever becomes the president, he will have to show that he is a guy who can stabilize the economy. He will stabilize the country. So with this present parliament, he has to do it. And now Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he was only one person. One person, he came and to a great extent. I mean, I don't think he did a fantastic job, but well, he stabilized the country. So in that way, whoever, Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake, Mr. Sajith Premadasa, will also have to come and display that kind of management skill.
But Maithri, the situation is going to change, and it has changed already.
Yeah.
Let's assume that President Ranil Wickremesinghe wins. Half his cabinet is gone already. They've jumped this way, that way. So he's going to have to appoint a new cabinet.
Yeah, he can appoint. That's not a problem. Even now, he can appoint cabinet ministers. He can call for people from the opposition. He can call anyone and say, okay, I'm willing to appoint. That's not a problem. He can do it. They are not doing it. Even if he did it at that time, it would have been much better. I mean, I would say if he called upon, insisted and called upon at that time Mr. Sajith Premadasa, Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake, there are people who want to really develop the country, and told them, insisted that they take these ministries and run it, and made it a public debate, public request, without just making just a statement from a political platform. Public request. In fact, if he had even gone and met them and said, okay, come join my government, that would have shown his good faith in trying to run the country.
So the uncertainty continues, and if you think that it's going to end on the 22nd of September...
No, uncertainty, Nilesh, will continue as long as the people are not going to vote responsibly. So the moment the people take upon themselves to vote responsibly, then the uncertainty disappears. But if the people are going to vote on anger or some other kind of sentiment, then there is nothing that any one of us can do.
Well, let's hope that this time next year we will be in a better place, no matter who
There
wins.
is no better place than this, Nilesh.
Absolutely, but it can become a worse place. It can become a worse place.
All we need is a good team to run this country. As I said first, it's a management problem. If we have 25 good managers who are going to be our ministers, this can be taken to the status of like a country like Switzerland.
A good team, Maithri, a good team. And let's hope that it's not going to be like the Sri Lankan men's cricket team, but the women's cricket team, which is doing fabulously at the moment.
Precisely.
And on that note, I'm afraid we are out of time. It's been an enthralling discussion with Mr. Maithri Gunaratne.
Thank you very much, Nilesh. Thank you very much.
President's Council. And to you at home, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And don't go away, the news is coming up next. Have a good evening.